Hello everyone, welcome to the full Five Nights at Freddy's book timeline. I'm trying to make this timeline make sense. For this video only, I'm going to split it up into two sections. One section will be the main books, and the second section will be the Fazbear Fright books timeline. This will be a bit hard to edit because there's not much visuals you can put on a video for a book. Scroll down, subscribe, turn on notifications, like the video to help more people see it, and scroll back up. It all helps out a ton and I really appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoy the video, and let's get into this mess.
Also comment below once you've watched this if you think it's correct or wrong. I would really love to hear your thoughts, and I love the feedback on these timelines. Sometimes the timeline gets so full that the only way to tell a real story is to have the story set in a different timeline. Scott Cawthon posted this a long time ago, but I'm putting it here to clarify that these events are not part of the game storyline / main canon / lore. This is a completely different timeline. Pretend it's a whole different universe. This is completely separate from the game timeline. For example, in this, it's possible to have the FNAF 4 Bite take place at Circus Baby's Pizza World, which has Springtrap as its main animatronic. Just keep that insane thought in your mind. First, we're going to start off with the main novel series, the first 3 books, and then move into Fazbear Frights. The novel series starts May 13th, 1980, when Charlotte, nicknamed Charlie, Emily was born. 1982, Henry, Emily, and business partner William Afton opened Fredbear's Family Diner, with its 2 animatronics, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, 2 Springlock suits which Henry designed the Springlock mechanisms for. 1983, during a Halloween party at Fredbear's, Charlie gets kidnapped and murdered by Spring Bonnie / William Afton, leading into the closure of the restaurant. Warning, by the way, it is unsure whether Sammy is even real, as Henry made it so Charlie thought her brother, Sammy, was the one who was killed / taken, meaning Charlie must never see Sammy from that point forward, begging the question, is he even real? Henry couldn't handle the loss of Charlie. He brought a rag doll which he cried on for months, pretending it was her. He basically goes insane and recreates Charlie as a robot, but he made 4, each to replicate a real person's growth: toddler, child, teenager, and an adult. He uses sound illusion discs to make the Charlie bots, as I like to call them, look real to the outside world, even though deep down he knows they're not real. A few years go past. Over this time, Henry strayed away from his family. His sister wanted him to move on. He couldn't. His family left, his wife left him and took their quote-unquote son with her, and he reached the 3rd stage, teenager. Once a teenager was released, he realized he went mad and built the 4th and final stage with emotions only of rage and despair, and he realized his daughter is not ever coming back. 1985. Henry opens up a 2nd restaurant, much larger, with more animatronics than the 2, including Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. This is Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, but William dresses in the yellow bear suit, which we can assume was Golden Freddy, and lures 5 children away into the back room of the pizzeria, murdering them. This is known in the game canon as the Missing Children's Incident. Henry was a suspect, of course, but wasn't charged or anything, because they knew it was William. The police couldn't arrest William since the bodies were never found, but Clay and the entirety of the police station knew it was him. The pizzeria, of course, closed down after this, and with all the grief of the past, Henry creates a robot to end his own life. He wrote a note to his sister saying the 4th closet / the 4th Charlie must be kept shut and to destroy his house if done wrong. In July of the same year, 1985, he activated the robot. In fact, we see this in FNAF World.
The show will begin momentarily. Everyone, please stay in your seats.
Skip forward in time to 1995, and to keep this video simple, the events of the 3 books play out. The book franchise ends with John at a graveyard. John walks to a woman waiting for him, which everybody believes to be Charlie. Onto Fazbear Frights. The man in room 1280 most likely goes first. Most of this timeline is connected via the Stitchrave stories/secrets, and this story is widely believed to be what kicked off the entire epilogue story. Lonely Freddy goes here, as Freddy's is still open at this time. Step Closer and Hide and Seek loosely come next, for the same reason as Lonely Freddy, as which Freddy's is still open. Coming Home comes next, as Susie is killed here, and in other FNAF works, Freddy's closes because of her and the other 4 children being murdered, once again in the Missing Children incident. Freddy Fazbear's closes somewhere around here, which is why books like Lonely Freddy, Step Closer and Hide and Seek are all behind this. Room for One More introduces the underground facility heard of its sister location, which occurs once the pizzeria shuts, so it must go here.
Allow me to fill this somewhat frightening silence with some light-hearted banter. Due to the massive success, and even more so the unfortunate closing of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, it was clear that the stage was set, no pun intended, for another contender in children's entertainment.
Dance With Me comes next, as it includes Ballora, and since the mini-winners and baby stories are in Room for One More, which became before this, since they're all from the same canon game, we can assume it takes place here. The Real Jake takes place next, as it's the debut of Simon, the unnamed doll from the next book in the timeline, 1:35 AM. Fetch goes here, as Freddy's is called an abandoned location, and there's not much connecting it to anything else, so it's not like this can be necessarily wrong. Epilogue 3, which is where the Stitchwraith is created, comes next, and that story continues on into Be Beautiful Epilogue 1, which is where the Stitchwraith first hunts for body parts, and continues to do so in Out of Stock Epilogue 2. Into the Pit and the New Kid happen kind of around here, because Freddy's is closed by this time. Count the Ways is probably next, as Funtime Freddy is kind of just abandoned from all the way back in Room for One More. Now, these next two are loosely tied to the canon games and this series in general, so take this with a grain of salt. Blackbird is probably here, as it's about making things right and confessing their darkest secrets to Blackbird, and it punishes them for it. This has a lot of similarities to Golden Freddy punishing William Afton in Ultimate Custom Night, and since this doesn't have a concrete connection to the other plots, this can go here, much like the canon/main timeline. In the Flesh is one of the most loosely tied to the rest, as it involves Springtrap being in a VR game, and has a lot of similarities to the VR game Help Wanted. And in the main game canon, that takes place near the end of the current timeline, it can go last here. Now, Bunny Call can really go anywhere here, as there isn't anything specifically connecting this story to the larger canon, so it can really go in between anywhere. It can go before Freddy's closes, after, literally in the same timeline as In the Flesh, Blackbird, Fetch, it can go anywhere. So that's all we have so far, until the ever so infinite sets of Fazbear's Fright give us more story to debunk and line up for once again another timeline. Thank you guys for 3k subscribers, by the way. These timelines take a lot of time to make, so please, if you guys enjoyed, subscribe and like the video. Leave a comment saying if you think this is right, or if there's something you would like to change.